Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today, we're delving into a deeply tragic and shocking case, the murder of Laken Riley, a nursing student whose life was brutally taken on February 22, 2024. This horrifying crime unfolded on the serene running trails of the University of Georgia campus in Athens, Georgia, shattering the peace of what should have been an ordinary morning. Her death did more than send shockwaves through the local community. It captured nationwide attention. It spurred discussions not only about campus safety and the vulnerability of young women, but also about systemic issues such as justice and immigration policies. The brutal nature of the crime and the subsequent legal battle drew the eyes of the public, turning this tragedy into a case study of both heartbreak and the complexities of modern society. Join us as we navigate through the details of this heartbreaking case, exploring the moments that led up to the crime, the pursuit of justice, and the broader implications it has on our society today. Laken Hope Riley was born on January 10, 2002, in Marietta, Georgia, to Jason Riley and Allison Phillips. She grew up in a close-knit family with 3 siblings, where she cultivated a love for sports and academics. In 2020, Laken graduated from River Ridge High School in Woodstock, Georgia, where she was an accomplished member of the cross-country team. Her dedication to athletics mirrored her drive in other aspects of life, setting her apart as a committed and determined individual. At the time of her passing, Laken was a 22-year-old nursing student at Augusta University in Athens, Georgia. Before that, she attended the University of Georgia, where she pursued undergraduate studies. She was also an active and cherished member of the Alpha Chi Omega sorority, embodying the values of leadership, service, and sisterhood. Her life was a testament to ambition and kindness, making her loss all the more devastating to those who knew and loved her. The man behind the brutal crime was Jose Antonio Ibarra, a 26-year-old from Venezuela who crossed into the United States illegally in September 2022. He made his way across the southern border near El Paso, Texas, evading authorities. After his crossing, Ibarra was initially detained by federal agents, but was later released back into the country. He spent some time at a migrant shelter in New York, specifically the Roosevelt Hotel, before boarding a flight to Georgia. Ibarra's residence in Georgia was a modest apartment, just about a mile from the wooded area where Laken Riley's body would later be discovered. He had a troubling history with law enforcement, having been arrested multiple times across different states. In September 2023, he was arrested in New York City, facing charges related to child injury and driving offenses. A month later, he and his brother, reported to be members of the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua, were arrested again by Athens police for theft. Despite being caught with stolen goods from a local Walmart, they were both released. Things took a darker turn when, in December 2023, Ibarra was issued an arrest warrant for failing to appear in court regarding a theft case in Georgia. In a shocking turn of events, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement admitted they missed an opportunity to detain him after his arrest in New York, as he had been released before they could act on his pending detention order. On the morning of February 22, 2024, Laken Riley, a nursing student at the University of Georgia, went out for her regular jog on campus, a routine that would tragically end in violence. During the brutal attack, she managed to call 911, capturing the terrifying final moments of her life. The assault occurred between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. and by 12:38 p.m., Riley's body was discovered behind Herrick Lake at Oconee Forest Park. Riley's roommates, growing worried when she didn't return, reported her missing to campus police at 12:07 p.m. Less than half an hour later, law enforcement found her lifeless body, and the investigation revealed the cause of death to be blunt force trauma and asphyxiation. Authorities quickly labeled the crime as an opportunistic attack, with evidence suggesting that the killer acted alone. This tragedy sent shockwaves through the University of Georgia, especially since no murders had been reported on campus since 1983. Riley's death was not only a personal tragedy for her loved ones, but also raised critical concerns about campus safety and the vulnerability of young women in seemingly secure environments. After discovering Laken Riley's body, police began to investigate individuals who were present near the crime scene. Initially, Diego Ibarra, the older brother of Josie Ibarra, was detained after appearing in surveillance footage near the area. However, he was only held briefly for possessing a fake green card and was released shortly afterward, when no evidence connected him to the crime. Attention soon shifted to Josie Ibarra, Diego's younger brother. Jose, a 19-year-old University of Georgia student, became the primary suspect. Surveillance footage captured a man resembling Josie near the area where Laken was found. The details in the footage, including timestamps, matched the time frame of Laken's disappearance. Additionally, DNA evidence and fingerprints recovered at the scene strengthened the case against Jose. Although the forensic evidence wasn't conclusive enough to definitively prove his guilt, it provided sufficient grounds for further investigation. The inquiry expanded as witnesses and those familiar with Jose came forward with observations about his behavior before and after the crime. Investigators also explored his relationships and potential motives that could explain why he might have committed such a violent act against a young woman. At the same time, questions arose about whether others might have been involved, prompting further scrutiny. These developments drew significant public and media attention as people eagerly awaited a clearer understanding of the killer's motives and the truth behind Laken Riley's tragic death. The investigation into Josie Ibarra's involvement in Laken Riley's death took a critical turn when detectives reviewed surveillance footage from cameras around the crime scene. One piece of video showed a man closely resembling Jose in the wooded area where Laken's body was ultimately discovered. What made this footage even more compelling was that the man in the video was wearing a jacket that matched a description provided by a witness. This witness had seen a suspicious figure near the area on the night Laken disappeared, and the jacket fit the description they had provided. This connection between the footage and the witness testimony added weight to the case against Jose, painting a clearer picture of his involvement. The breakthrough continued when investigators searched Josie's dorm room and found a pair of shoes with traces of blood. Upon testing, the blood was confirmed to be Laken Riley's. This discovery dealt a severe blow to Josie's previous claims that he had no connection to the victim. In his earlier statements, he had denied any involvement in Laken's death, but the blood on his shoes proved otherwise. This evidence directly contradicted his account, and investigators began to piece together a more coherent timeline of events that pointed to his role in the crime. With the combination of the surveillance footage and the forensic evidence from the shoes, the case against Jose was growing stronger. The investigators now had hard evidence linking him to the crime scene and contradicting his alibi. It was clear that the investigation had reached a turning point, with the pieces of the puzzle falling into place, and the focus shifting solely to Jose as the prime suspect in Laken Riley's death. Under mounting pressure from irrefutable evidence, Josie Ibarra was forced to revise his statement. He admitted to meeting Laken on the night of her death, but insisted it was a minor argument, after which she left. However, this narrative was quickly debunked by surveillance footage, showing Josie lingering in the area much longer than he claimed. In another attempt to explain his involvement, Josie alleged that an unidentified man had coerced him into helping dispose of the body. However, no surveillance footage or witness ever confirmed the presence of this individual. Forensic psychologists suggested that this was likely a ploy by Josie to mislead investigators. Adding to the weight of evidence, Josie's DNA was found under Laken's fingernails, indicating she had fought back during her final moments. This detail was crucial in confirming the physical confrontation between Josie and Laken, directly connecting him to the murder. These findings significantly strengthened the case against Ibarra, sealing his fate as the prime suspect and bringing the investigation closer to its conclusion. In November 2024, the case of Josie Ibarra officially entered the trial phase, drawing intense public and media attention. Ibarra chose a bench trial, meaning Judge Haggard would be the sole decision-maker rather than a jury. With the support of strong evidence, the prosecution gradually presented key pieces of evidence. Notably, surveillance footage showed Ibarra near the area where Laken Riley's body was found, as well as his actions disposing of items connected to the crime, including a blood-stained jacket and gloves. Blood analysis from these items matched Laken's DNA, weakening Ibarra's claims of innocence. Additionally, one of the crucial pieces of evidence was data from Laken's smartwatch, which showed her heart rate spiking suddenly before it flatlined, suggesting she had endured a brutal attack. Testimonies from witnesses and forensic experts confirmed that these pieces of evidence were irrefutable. To defend himself, Josie Ibarra's defense team argued that the evidence presented by the prosecution was insufficient to convict him, mainly consisting of indirect evidence without a clear link between Ibarra and Laken's death. Some witnesses brought forward by the defense attempted to deny Ibarra's presence at the crime scene or his connection to the victim, but these arguments were largely unconvincing to the court. Ibarra attempted to justify his actions by claiming that he was coerced by a mysterious man who forced him to participate in disposing of the body. However, there was no evidence to support the existence of this man. As a result, Ibarra's testimony lacked credibility, especially given the clear contradictions between his statements and the available evidence. Despite the defense's efforts to portray him in a more sympathetic light, the weight of the evidence was undeniable, and the jury ultimately found him guilty. On December 10, 2024, after several days of tense deliberation, Judge Haggard delivered the verdict. Josie Ibarra was found guilty of murder, sexual assault, and obstructing an emergency call. The irrefutable evidence, especially the surveillance video and DNA traces of Laken's blood found on Ibarra's shoes, established his role as the principal perpetrator. Despite attempts by the defense to argue that Ibarra had been coerced into committing the crime, in fact, the physical evidence and video footage pointed to Ibarra acting independently. Sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, the verdict brought some measure of closure to Laken's grieving family, although the pain of their loss remained unhealed. This case also highlighted broader concerns about immigration management and community security, particularly given Ibarra's undocumented status and prior criminal record. While the case concluded with a clear resolution, it left behind profound sorrow and crucial lessons for society. The case of Laken Riley not only shook the community, but also raised alarms about campus security and the safety of students. The University of Georgia later announced measures to enhance security, including the installation of additional surveillance cameras and the organization of safety training sessions for students. At the same time, authorities emphasized the need to review immigration policies and address the issue of individuals with criminal records continuing to live illegally within communities. For Laken's family, the loss was unfathomable, a grief that words could scarcely capture. It not only forced them, but the entire community, to confront a harsh reality about the dangers that students face in their everyday lives. However, in the midst of such unimaginable sorrow, Laken's family transformed their grief into something meaningful. They established a scholarship fund in her memory, aimed at supporting students in need. This fund ensured that, though Laken's journey came to an untimely end, her spirit and legacy would continue to inspire future generations. It became a symbol of strength, resilience, and the transformative power of turning tragedy into a force for good. Although the verdict brought justice to Laken and her family, the pain they endured would never truly fade. She was always strong, resilient, and full of hope, Laken's sister shared in an interview. While her passing cannot be undone, we must remember her not only as a victim, but as a person who faced life's challenges with unwavering strength. Laken's family continues to cherish her memory and find comfort in reflecting on the kindness and inspiration she brought to those around her during her life. In the years following Laken's tragic death, her story has continued to resonate, inspiring movements for greater campus safety and reform in how communities protect their vulnerable members. The case highlighted systemic issues around crime, immigration, and student safety, sparking public discussions and policy changes aimed at preventing future tragedies. Laken Riley's story remains a symbol of hope and justice, reminding everyone of the importance of protecting the rights of individuals, particularly those who may be most at risk. She is remembered not just for the way she was taken from the world, but for the way she lived her life full of courage, compassion, and a deep sense of purpose. The case of Laken Riley is a tragic reminder of the danger students can face in what should be a safe environment. It highlights that no crime is beyond justice, no matter how horrific. The conviction of the guilty stands as a powerful reminder that justice will always triumph. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this case. Please share your perspective in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more compelling stories in our next video.